How's it going, everybody? Today I'm gonna show you 3 quick tips to instantly make your footage more cinematic. These tips have helped my footage get more cinematic, and I hope they'll do the same to you. Let's get started. Tip number 1 is to use diffusers. Now, what is a diffuser? Basically, what a diffuser does is it diffuses light.
Wow.
I know. Basically, a diffuser diffuses light and it makes the light look softer and not as harsh. Now, like any tool, there's a time and place for diffusers and you should use them all the time, but I was personally really amazed at how much more cinematic my footage looked once I started using diffusers in my wedding films. I use Tiffin Black Pro Mist filters and I would highly recommend them. I wouldn't recommend going cheap on diffusers because if you go cheap, chances are it's gonna look more like you were using a smudged lens than using an actual diffuser. Tip number 2 is lighting. Now, obviously lighting is super broad, so I'm gonna break it down into a few practical guidelines for you to follow. Utilize natural light wherever you can. Take a look at these shots and look how cinematic my subject looks just by placing him next to a window instead of using the artificial light that was indoors. It makes a big difference, and I really loved these shots when I was editing this video. If you're shooting outdoors, try to backlight your subjects whenever you can. As long as your camera has decent dynamic range, backlighting your subjects is gonna look a lot better than having them face towards the sun and squint at the camera and have all of that harsh light hitting them in the face. Lastly, if you are using artificial lighting, invest in a softbox so that the light looks natural on people's faces. Position your softbox to the side of your subject and above your subject to create kind of a Rembrandt lighting effect like I've got going on right now. I really like this look. It's a little bit more dramatic than I use on YouTube here, but this is really cool. Then use a smaller, harder light source as a rim light behind your subject to separate them from the background depending on what kind of background you're using. As you can see right now, I don't have a very good rim light, so my sleeve over here is kind of disappearing into the background. So I use an LED light panel pointed at my ceiling, and my ceiling is white, that is important, and that reflects down and acts as a fill light, and it also lights up the background and separates me from the background. Tip number 3 is focal length. When I used to film on my phone when I was just starting out, I thought that filming everything from one focal length on my phone would look fine, and I was wrong. So here's a couple guidelines for you. Wide-angle lenses are awesome for establishing shots and showing off scenery, but do not get too close to your subject if you're filming on a wide-angle lens. Wide-angle lenses tend to distort the face when you get too close. Like this. See how weird my face looks? It just does not look good at all. From a distance, wide-angle lenses will look fine on people, but don't get too close. So what do you do for close-up shots of faces? Well, the focal lengths between 50 and 100 millimeters are typically in the sweet spot for filming faces and making human faces look natural. The lens I use most is this Sigma 18-35, and on my Pocket 6K, which has a crop factor of 1.5, 35 millimeters looks more like 52 millimeters. So if your camera's not full frame, be sure to factor in the crop factor as well. Another advantage to tighter focal lengths is it helps you eliminate things in the background that you don't want in your shot. The tighter the focal length, the less stuff it's gonna pick up. It is literally at a tighter angle. Like right now, watch what happens when I zoom out. Yeah, I don't want you seeing all that. This is at 10 millimeters on a Sigma 10-20, and look how much stuff is getting picked up in the background. I don't want you seeing all this. Personally, I use 3 primary lenses to film all my weddings. First one is my trusty Sigma 18-35. The second one is my Sigma 24-70. And the third one for shooting ceremonies is my Tamron 70-200. Having a few different focal length options with me assures me that no matter what presents itself on a wedding day, I'll be able to capture it in a cinematic way.
Wow.
That rhymed, that was nice. All right, so there you have it. These 3 tips have helped my footage look more cinematic and they've made my videos better, so I hope they do the same to your footage and your videos. If these tips were helpful to you, please give this video a like. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.